So, pretty much to get right into it, essentially, Sam and I have been talking about our recent, obviously, uh, quarantining has been like very interesting for like everybody, and we've both kind of used it for similar ways. To like, I used it a lot of for figuring out like a lot of spiritual stuff, really, and he says that he's done similar things. So, Sam, what have you looked into?
Yeah, we've just had so much time on our hands. I feel like everyone has had to come out of here with something, hopefully. And I've just been, I don't know, I started maybe like a month into it. I was just like reading, I was just done with like a few of my novels that I was reading at the time. And I was like, all right, we have to pick a new one. But I didn't have really any topic basis to start off on. So I kind of just started, like, it was kind of a guess. I
Mm-hmm.
looked up, I was always listening to like motivational speeches online. And then one day I came across Alan Watts. He was a philosopher in the 20th century, and it was just insane, like the things he was saying, because like we live in like the Western culture, and we never like experience more of a Hindu style like philosophical approach, and that's what he did. He brought like the Hindu and Buddhism like over into a Western audience to make us like more attuned to it, and it was just like I've never seen anything like it because like the Bible and like everything I've grown up on because I'm Catholic was so like historic and so like on the books, but this one was more like more freeing and more spiritual, I guess, in a sense.
Yeah, the way that he talks just has like a certain way of just like really kind of like freeing, yourself from like everything that you kind of hold on to, because like he grew up in the Western world, so he understands what it's like to be like Christian and have that like because ever I saw this video the other day, right? It was this little girl who swore, and then immediately her mother goes, "Did would Jesus like it if you said that?" Or just some shit like that, and then
Yeah,
she automatically just like got so scared
it's
and
too
down on herself.
structured. Yeah, sometimes when I think
Yeah,
about Christianity in that way, they put it too much heavy on this like this structure and order when really that's not really what we feel in life or how we like approach life, or should at least, I think. And I mean, I think you pointed towards this in a little bit of that story, how like we see Jesus as just such an authoritarian, like omnipotent, like dangerous figure
yeah.
sometimes, because he's like, because there's sin and there's good, and you always have to choose between the two.
I mean, one of the things that we learned about before you confirmed too was like you're supposed to have the fear of God.
Yeah, the
Like,
fear
what the
of
hell does
God.
that
What is
mean,
that?
man?
Why is that even a quote and like used daily? Like that's weird.
I know, it's just like people are just trying to like scare
Yeah,
the living hell out of everyone, especially when it comes to faith. And it's like, yo, what?
that's. I
And
would-
you can see that in like literally everybody,
I
right?
think
Who walks
that's.
around.
I read this interesting article actually. It was talking about Christianity in today's light and who today actually is still Catholic, who actually still believes in God. And the article is talking about how like we don't actually believe in God like the biblical sense. Most people just they fear that there is no God, so they believe in God. They don't actually have that faith like the biblical sense in like thousands of years ago, like how
Mm-hmm.
they believed in it. We want a God, you know. We don't actually believe. A lot of people, the article was saying, a lot of people today, they say they're Catholic, they say they're Christian, but they want a God more so than them actually believing.
Yeah, and I think that comes down to just like the way that it's been taught throughout, especially like throughout English speaking countries, and like the amount. Well, I guess I should just say Latin in general. But the like the way people tend to forget, that this thing was not only translated from Hebrew to Latin, then to English.
Yeah,
You
and I
know.
think a part of you have to think about how long ago that was, and
Mm-hmm.
you have to think like those people thought in a more like I don't know how to say it, but primitive way where they were because they were not as intelligible as we are today, so they needed something to believe in because they didn't know any of these laws of physics or any of it like that. So like religion back then is much different than today. So it's very interesting when like people bring up the book that was made so long ago. It's like, well, that was such a different way of thinking about things.
Yeah, like some people are saying, that it's somehow against God's word to think that dinosaurs were created. It's like, no, like that's ridiculous. Why wouldn't you like why does that all of a sudden make you feel like is your faith that weak that all of a sudden someone says that there were animals before us and you're like, no, that can't be true. It's like, no, like you just clearly don't have any faith in what you believe in.
Yeah, because like if you look at all, like that person's not going to say they don't believe in physics, and physics is along the same science as evolution and everything.
Hmm.
So if you don't believe in that, then what do you believe in? Like, what do you think God made us for? Do you think He didn't make all of this science around us? He did. That's what He did.
And it's funny too because like what you're talking about with Alan Watts is it completely allows for all the scientific discoveries that we've made, and it lines up entirely with how human nature works. It lines up entirely with just everything in science essentially. It doesn't get taken away by what he's talking about, what like Buddhism teaches, what Hinduism teaches. And it's kind of like, sure that, I don't know too much about Hinduism. You said you were studying it, but like I don't understand the whole God portion of it. Like that's like the one thing where I'm kind of like,
Yeah, that's so hard to understand.
yeah,
I'm reading one of Alan Watts's books right now, and because he has like 43, and
which book?
this one is it's called The Book
Oh,
of not knowing of knowing who you are.
oh, I'm reading that one too, actually. Yeah,
It is the way it's like it's a very good way if you want to like get an understanding like more of a Hindu style, like what they believe in as the God is like the ground and essence. He puts it as like the self. It's like all of us. Like we are. Have you ever heard of the hide and seek game?
no, tell me about it.
The hide and seek game is it's like it's an approach to like a Western style of like Hindu of like approaching the self, the God that they believe in. Kind of, it's like a game of hide and seek. Kids love to play it, right? There's a hider and a seeker, but the way they put it is this reality that we live in. This is just the God, this ground essence, playing hide and seek with himself. So you're a part of this guy. He is in you. He's in me. And he's. It's not a he. I shouldn't be saying he, but I am because it's like a story
Yeah,
of hide and seek.
it's how our
But
language works
we
now.
are just disguising ourselves in this reality just to play. It's like a game to us because we are just we're the only entity in the like the universe. The universe is
Yeah,
us.
he put it in a really good way. Like the like Johnny listens to that song "Dreams" that he likes from Alan Watts.
Yeah,
It's like something along the lines of it's a chill step Alan Watts thing. If you guys don't know what that is,
it's a chill step.
about.
Those are all over
Yeah,
YouTube.
it
They're
was
so
great.
yeah.
But essentially, it's saying like if you could dream a dream every single night, whatever you wanted, you would eventually get bored with doing whatever you could, and then you would want something exactly what you were experiencing right now, something you can't control, and you eventually
You
get here.
need surprises. You
Yeah,
need all these danger because you were so bored of all the other dreams you dreamed.
yeah,
Like
exactly.
I think he brings up all the fantasies like a princess and like saving a princess. He's like you do all these romantic things and you get to the and you need something more so you add excitement to it. And then you eventually get to where you are here right now with
Hmm.
excitement, with hate, with love, and all of that in this reality.
Yeah, and it's crazy how some people just like they think that they only want one emotion. They think that they only want like to be happy all the time, or they only want to do other things. I know like my parents think that I think that, but like I know that I mean that's not true. I mean, so it's like I have like a personal like enjoyment of I feel like I should try and be as happy as I can be all the time because why the hell not? But also it comes from like you need to experience the other ones too. Like if you don't have sadness, if you don't have like hatred or all those other emotions, maybe not hatred, but like if those don't exist, then you can't have the other ones. And it just makes the other ones so much more special.
Yeah, the reality we would live in would be it wouldn't work if we didn't have hate.
Hmm.
Like we have love, but we have to have hate. It wouldn't. You can't have love without hate. It's everything's a duality. Everything's in like a dual connection with something else.
Yeah, and then the two become one, and then it's all kind of
Hmm.
like it weaves together. Like that's what yin and yang is essentially.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
it's funny how we've never thought. Well, I mean, I know people have thought about it,
Mm.
but there hasn't been extensive like teachings of like combining the two or the two like
Mm.
sides of the world and what they
Yeah.
believe in, and that doesn't make any sense to me
Mm-mm.
at all.
I think like that's why Alan Watts and like people like I know I listen to Joseph Campbell a lot too, and like those type of people, just kind of bringing in both sides of the spectrum, like all not even both like all the spectrums. Like, that's why they became so popular because I think that's becoming in recent decades becoming a new thing. I think it's so cool how they were one of the people to do it.
Hmm. I mean, it only makes sense, right? Like, and what's funny too is like if you go down to it, you kind of look at what all religions are saying at the basis of what they're getting at. It's all the same. It's literally all the same.
I heard this quote. It was like in comparison to seeing the God as a father figure. It's like a story actually. It goes there's this story where an astronaut went out into space and saw the entire universe and then came back. And when he came back, people asked, "Well, what'd you see?" And then he told them all about the universe. And then they said, "Did you see God? Did you meet God?" And he goes, "Yes, I did." And she was black. So it's like a funny comparison, like the total opposite of the this father white man. Just to show you, just the story just shows you that like it's not any like gender or any type of role. It's just one being,
Yeah.
not a father or mother or anything. It's just one.
Yeah, man. It's just everything in existence. People don't like realize that, man. Like I mean, my personal belief is that every single one of us is God. Every it's so simple. Everyone is made in the image and likeness of God. It's something we've been told for forever, but we fail to understand that. Well, not fail to understand, but we refuse to look at the possibility of being like, yo, what if we're God?
Yeah,
You know?
because like the quote you just said is one of the stronger ways of explaining it. But then you pair it with all these other father like stories instead of being like we are the actual painter. Like God painted you. Well, like what if we painted ourselves? Kind
Yeah.
of like that.
I mean, isn't that what consciousness is? Like us understanding ourselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe we're just a collection of atoms that was smart enough to understand what was going on, and now we're kind of like, oh, and
Yeah,
we lose our minds because of it.
I've thought about like atheism. I'm sure like so many people have thought about atheism in this way, but like when I think about it, there's just no way that like me thinking these thoughts are atoms. That's like the only reason. Like I cannot really agree with the atheist approach where like because I see myself as there's more than just atoms. Like, there's no way atoms are thinking these thoughts. It'd be so weird to me. That's all.
I mean, like, it's just like you ever look in the mirror like for a little bit, and then you're just kind of like you're just like staring at yourself, you're just eyeing yourself up, and you're like what the hell is going on here? Like I see me, but
Trying to decode
like
the
what's going on?
universe. Decoding the universe after a shower.
Yeah, I mean that's just what it is, man. Like it's funny because everyone has that thought where they're just like
Everyone does.
me,
Everyone
right?
thinks no one. I don't think anyone talks about it as much as they should, but everyone has those thoughts, like intense.
I know. I feel like it's in human nature to do that. And it's funny because we just kind of disregard it. We kick it to the curb and we're just kind of like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.